Welcome, everybody, to the Hound's Tales podcast. On this episode, we're going to finish up part 2 of the mounted fox hunting with Job and Suji. Before we get started, real quick, for those listening, a friendly reminder that the Chocchuma hunt money is due by this Sunday. So if you have not paid and you're listening, be sure this is another reminder. This is another way I'm going to reach out to you to remind you to pay for those numbers. And I appreciate everybody and all, everybody that called and got numbers and everybody that's paid so far. So let's get that money in. Let's get that right. And that way we can get everything ready. Next week is our first hunt. Going to Tower Hill. From what I hear, the pen is rocking. I know I've had some messages about, oh, the scores are kind of low, blah, blah, blah. But look, that pen rocks really, really hard during the night. Really, really hard during the night. I was talking to some people that run there, and we're still estimating somewhere in the 700s to win the hunt. We're going to say 500s to 700s. That's going to be your getting in the win range. So I believe we're going to be putting on a really good show. Got 21 good judges lined up to be there. Cannot wait to make this happen, guys. I'm so excited. Also, man, I just letting y'all know I have some really, really cool guests coming. I know these past couple episodes, been a little off topic, a little off kilter on some of our normal stuff, trying to broaden the horizons, kind of reach out and that kind of thing. But some of these next ones, guys, these are going to be for y'all, a lot of my faithfuls, and I thank y'all so much for continuing to listen. I got some legends. I got the owners of legends. Got some judges, trying to give y'all some hints without giving it all away. But anyway, I won't hold y'all up no more. Let's get to this episode. We're going to pick it right after the intro and our word from our sponsors, and we're going to pick it right back up where we left off. So thank y'all again for listening. If you have not yet, hit that like and subscribe button for us. Also check us out on houndstales.com and explore the website and just kind of get to know us a little bit better. But all right, enough about me, enough about the podcast. Let's get it started. Drop the gate, cast your hounds. Welcome, everybody, to the Hound's Tales podcast. This is your home for field trialing and deer dog hunting. It'll be stories and discussions on the world of dog hunting. So let's drop the gate, cast your hounds, and get ready for another episode of the Hound's Tales podcast.
Fuel your dog with confidence. Fuel them with Joy High Performance 2618, which is made for adult dogs. High Performance 2618 is made with high-quality ingredients, with beef meal being the first. Our key ingredients include omega-3 and 6 fatty acids for skin health and shiny coats, zinc and vitamin E for a healthy immune system, and glucosamine and chondroitin for healthier joints. Whenever you feed your dog Joy High Performance, you can rest assured that you are feeding your dog with top-quality food, knowing that all of our products are 100% American made with 100% American ingredients. Fuel your dogs with confidence. Fuel them with Joy High Performance 2618. Call 800-245-4125 or visit our website at joydogfood.com to find a dealer near you.
If you're listening to this podcast, you probably have a need for dog supply items such as Garmin products, bark collars, remote trainers, name tags, field trial and hunting dog supplies, supplements and first aid, dog fences, used and refurbished collars, and much, much more. Where can you go to get that? Outdoor Dog Supply. Outdoor Dog Supply is a leader when it comes to Garmin Tritronics trade-in program. They were one of the first Garmin dealers to start accepting Garmin buyback trade-ins toward purchases. Outdoor Dog Supply currently accepts both working and some non-working units. Be sure to check in with these guys at Outdoor Dog Supply or at 757-482-1000. And their hours of operation are from Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. And if you're in the Chesapeake area in Virginia, be sure to stop in. Go see these guys in person. Outdoor Dog Supply is the leader in online sales as far as Garmin products go, and your hunting dog supply needs. This is where I go to get all my stuff. Might as well join me in it. All right, guys. Again, be sure to check these guys out, outdoordogsupply.com, and thank them for coming on board with the Hounds Tales podcast. Let's get back to the episode. Yeah, so that was kind of my question that I was going to lead into was how do you make the choice of who goes out today and who stays home? Like what's your deciding factor? I mean, obviously heat, that's going to be one, but when you go to the lots to go pick them out, what makes you say out of the 60 that you're picking from, what makes you say, all right, this 25's coming today?
Well, I would say first, what did they do last hunt? Mm-hmm. And if they did something bad, they might be in detention.
Right.
They're gonna get. If the tone didn't work and you had to go to continuous, then they may be in detention. And it's funny, they know when they're in detention.
Yeah.
And, so if they've done something, if they ran some game that I didn't want them, or they didn't listen, or they didn't come back, maybe you're in detention for a little while. I mean, generally our pack is extremely well behaved.
Right.
So it rarely happens,
right.
So, but there's that.
I got
you. What is the age and where are we going?
Gotcha.
If I'm going to a base, I got, a 6,000 acre fixture that I go to. I'm going to bring some younger dogs, and because the old guys, I'm going to kill them.
Right.
They're not going to keep up, and then they are going to keep up, and they're just going to ruin themselves.
Right. Right. Exactly.
So I mean, there's that. Where are we going? There's we're always bringing what we call new entries, puppies up.
Right.
So you don't want to if you put too many in, it just turns into a freaking melee.
Right.
They'll run a deer or find a raccoon or who knows what, or won't pay attention, or the other classic thing with the puppies of this breed is that if they get left out, they just lie down. They just lie down.
Huh.
Yeah.
So definitely they're pack minded then.
Yeah, but if puppies get thrown out, sometimes they just get scared and won't stay with
you.
So you just have to be kind of like mindful. Don't bring too many puppies.
Right.
How'd that puppy do last time? I want to sprinkle some female hounds in there, to keep them even.
Yeah, that's
I don't want to go all with dog hounds, So I mean, I think it's probably the normal considerations that any other person has. And if I want to speed them up a little bit, I'll throw some of those yippers in there, some of the little black hands,
right,
and
make them compete a little bit. Yeah, I like that. So all right. So my last kind of question on this, that kind of chain of topics is, why so many hounds when you're out running at one time? Like, what's the difference for y'all from using 5 or 10 hounds compared to putting 50 out there in the woods?
Well, I would say it really has to do with the mechanics of fox hunting. I mean, we have GPS, but you're relying on the voice of the pack.
Right.
And, to get that much voice and volume, you kind of need that many hounds.
Gotcha.
Plus, it's just awesome. So.
Right. Right.
It's just awesome.
I'm with you there.
I could hunt less. But, I mean, James, you'll get it.
Yeah.
You'll hear 25 of them in full cry, and you'll be like, oh, yeah. I mean, it literally is like, I need to get, OSHA's going to come and make you put earplugs in. That's how loud it is.
Right.
And I mean, down at the core of it, one of the things we're aiming for is have a really good time, run around on a horse like you're an idiot, and hear a bunch of hounds in full cry at such volume that people are complaining that they could hear it in the next county.
I love it.
That's kind of like the goal.
I love it.
Sort of thing.
I love it. Yeah. I'm looking at your picture, you jumping over that little gap in the fence, and in my head, I'm like, hell no, nope. No, y'all do your thing. I'll ride the bike and pick it up and shove it over the thing after everybody gets through and try to catch up later. But
nope. I mean, we touched on this a little bit, but I mean, the horse. So Suji is more of the horse person. I guess I'm okay on a horse, but whatever. what skill I lack, I make up for in enthusiasm, basically.
Right.
You know, just like go right, just run at that fence. The horse will figure it out and go over. But Suji kind of like makes up the horses and runs the horse end of it. We do sell an occasional horse here and there.
Right.
And fox hunting horses can go for a lot of money. We just sold a horse for $60,000. That was advertised for $70,000. But the horses are super practical.
Uh-huh.
I mean, honestly, you could not get to the places that we go any other way.
Right.
Not even like you couldn't even have a four-wheeler wouldn't get you. An ATV wouldn't get you there. It's just you couldn't even get there with a car. So, I mean, it's a practicality thing. And then, we still have quite a bit in the way of livestock up in our area.
Right.
So imagine if you had to stop to open every gate.
Yeah.
You'd get left behind. So the whole jumping thing is just a practical thing.
Gotcha. Suji, it just, since you're the horse expert on this thing, what goes into making these horses being able to work with these dogs? I mean, I don't trust a horse. Like I said, that's not me. So what do you do with the horses to keep them and able to stay calm and do what they're supposed to do? Like, what kind of training behind? I'm sure this could be a very long conversation too, but just the gist of it. What makes them work so good, and how do you make them work so good with the hounds?
Yeah, so the first thing I would say is that the majority of the horses that we have taken have had zero exposure to a pack of foxhounds. Mm-hmm. We do have a handful that have hunted, and they do have some fox hunting experience where they've done some of the galloping and some of the jumping, but the majority of the horses that we have had zero experience.
Okay.
But some of the things that we take into consideration is I just take the brain of a horse. Mm-hmm. Is they have to be generally sane.
Okay.
They can't do anything dangerous. And I would say usually when I hop on them, I can kind of figure out whether they have a buck in them or a rear or a spook or something like that. Because I have to take into consideration that when I'm out there galloping, if a hound, jumps out from the woods right behind me, then, I don't want something that's going to be, kicking the hound or spooking or doing something like that.
Right.
And I generally would like to stay safe when we're out fox hunting, and I want to come home.
But to be clear, you said they had zero experience. You meant zero experience before they came to us.
Yeah, zero experience. Yeah.
Right.
I generally look for horses that kind of already have their basics.
Okay.
And, they kind of have, they're okay by themselves. They can cross water, that kind of thing. But the jumping, that's sort of the easy part. You can pretty much teach any horse how to do that.
Right.
But as long as they're relatively sane, I think that pretty much any horse can fox hunt.
If you think hounds are dumb, horses are way dumber.
I agree 100%. That's why I don't get on the back of them.
So then just kind of baby stepping, I guess, the horse's training is, as I always say to people, we conveniently have a pack of foxhounds, and then as Job said earlier, we walk the hounds out on the days that we don't actually hunt.
Right.
So we take the entire pack out except for the bitch hounds that are in season.
Yeah.
We even take the puppies. It's like everybody goes out when we do walk out. And usually, that's kind of a horse's first introduction to the pack of hounds, and that they're walking along with the pack of hounds.
Gotcha.
It's usually, so what I normally do is I'll have a horse that I know has fox hunted be a buddy for that one, for that horse that has had zero experience. So then they kind of have a hand to hold, and they have, a little bit of exposure.
Right.
And then sort of like as that kind of goes along, you incorporate a little bit of speed, and maybe we'll go to a smaller fixture where you see a little bit of the hounds running, but not too much, and then you just kind of incrementally and you just baby step it.
Right.
So,
I got you.
Yeah, some horses, their minds will blow up. I mean, we've been pretty lucky, but some of them just like literally go berserk.
Yeah.
Just totally lose it.
And actually, probably one of the things that I always take into consideration too is that if a horse is slow, it's a good thing.
Okay.
Because when you're out fox hunting, man, that horse will go.
Right.
So you kind of have to make sure that nothing is too fast.
I got
because, it's going to be 10 times faster when you're out hunting. It'll be pretty hard to stop it.
Right.
Unless if Unless, actually, Job is...
No, you do that.
No, Job is saying, unless if you're the huntsman, so when he's hunting the hounds, he's usually on a pretty fast horse.
Okay.
And it's just because nobody's in front of him, so he doesn't have to worry.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so, usually if you're, behind somebody, if you're behind somebody, then that horse is going to want to catch up to the horse in front of it.
Right.
So that's just something to think about.
So and my follow up question on that is, well, I guess not necessarily on that, but with the horses, I'm looking at the pictures, and I see that is that shaved to the top of their legs? Is that what I'm seeing?
Yeah. So we typically we clip the horses. Okay. So I kind of like the horse to be nicely turned out when we're out hunting. Okay. And the horses, they grow a winter coat, of course. Right. And just because we're galloping and stuff, mm-hmm. I want them to be able to cool down quicker. So we usually clip the horses, but we also go through brush and we go through just like water and different types of things like that. So I want to keep the hair on their legs.
James, I've never clipped a horse in my life, nor will I. but I don't even know how. I mean, we have 12 horses right now. I mean, horses are being clipped all the time.
Right.
Like every week, there's 3 or 4 horses that get clipped.
So it's mainly just to keep them cooler. Then is what the idea behind it is.
Yeah, but also you have to think about when we prep the horses, we bathe them the day before. Mm-hmm. They dry a lot faster. After hunting, when we take care of them, they dry a lot faster. It's like there's a practicality aspect to it as well. Gotcha. And then of course we have winter blankets for the horses that are clipped.
Gotcha.
So they have their winter jackets on.
Right. All right. So let's roll into the differences in the simulators between this style hunting and the mounted fox hunting. What's kind of some of the differences that y'all kind of see in between them?
Well, I would say that, I think one of the biggest difference between sort of other dog hunters and the mounted fox hunters mm-hmm. is it's kind of a spectator sport. Okay. To be honest with you. It's like, if you're hunting and with your hunt club and you're running a bunch of dogs, mm-hmm. like every person might have 3 dogs or 5 dogs or run some dogs together, so everybody's participating, to a certain extent, right? Right. Well, fox hunting is more like, yeah, you have staff, but it's really the huntsman is like the choreographer mm-hmm. of the whole thing. And the other people are just kind of like observing the ridiculousness of it, So it's more of like a spectator sport, unless you're like the huntsman and the staff. Now, I do go out with other hunts occasionally. I do go in my truck and follow around occasionally. Right. It's boring. The spectator part is not for me. Right. I am not a spectator sport guy. Like, same thing with sports. I'm probably going to offend some people, but I cannot watch football. Right. I can play football. Right. Yeah, right. Yeah, but I just can't watch it. I know that some people, I want to be involved. That's my thing. So, but not everybody can do what I do, and not everybody can have a pack of 60 hounds behind their house and 12 horses. So, I think that's one of the biggest differences between other sports, is that, it's a spectator sport. Gotcha. For sure. I would say also, and this, in some ways, I think, I would say dissing my own sport, if that were a thing, is that, a lot of people become involved in fox hunting mounted fox hunting, mm-hmm. because they see it as sort of like, something that people that are in a certain societal status do. Okay. So, wealthier people. Right. And these are not like salt of the earth farmer types like me. Right. So, and I honestly don't feel a lot of kinship with those people because I have nothing in common with those people. So I think that is the starkest difference. Mm-hmm. But I also think that those differences are rather unfortunate and will lead to essentially the downfall of a lot of these sports, but especially mounted fox hunting, in that, it's, seen as exclusive. Right. And I don't think it I don't think it should be that way.
Well, I don't.
I think other differences. I mean, like we're typically not accounting for our quarry. That's a big difference.
Right.
I think that's a big difference. I think that's a mistake. Like, I encourage our staff members, because actually in the state of Virginia, you can get a mounted fox hunting only license. It doesn't require that you get any of the hunter safety courses or anything.
Interesting.
You pay is it $25 or $26 or something?
$23.
$23. I know, it's cheap.
Like that.
Right.
But I encourage them to get the full hunting license.
Right.
Because I just think you should do other hunting, and I think you don't appreciate the full breadth of hunting if you just stay in your one small lane.
Right.
Right. And we have to coordinate. We have to cooperate with deer hunters and other hunters, and so I think there's a lot of utility in understanding and taking the hunter safety courses, even if you're not going to go out and shoot a deer.
No, I think that's very wise.
Yeah, and then obviously we're on horses. That's obviously a big difference. I mean,
Right.
We do hunt on foot occasionally, but it's tough,
right?
Because we can't get to where the hounds are,
right?
And then I think the biggest thing is we emphasize, and this is part of just not accounting for your quarry, is the chase is the biggest part about it.
Yes.
Is that for us when we're doing the mounted fox hunting,
right?
I think it's the biggest difference. Suji, any differences that you know?
Oh, I think you touched on that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to take a second real quick and interrupt the show and talk about Cajun Lights. They have jumped on board to support the Hound's Tales podcast and the field trialing community. You got nighttime field trials coming up. I know I do in my series, Pleasure Running at Night. When you need to catch that next crossing, put your trust in Cajun Lights. Cajun Lights is made in America product out of North Carolina, who has been in business for over 25 years. They make cap style and bucket hat headlamps to free up that extra hand for your voice recorder or for your GPS. There are three main lights I want to focus on real quick. The first is the Micro Gator, which is the lightweight option. It has 4 brightness levels and 4 color options, including red for us field trialers. Rated at 50 to 60 hours of battery life on the highest setting, this is your flood style lamp that'll do really good for us out in the fields in the short brush and be able to help us get in front of those crossings. Next up is the Cajun Bayou, which is the next step up, and it includes the same number of colors and brightness levels, but it packs a much bigger punch on that brightness level, so you can catch those crossings way down the path when you got a long road to cover. And last but not least is the top level Cajun Blinder. It has a main beam light with 4 levels of brightness and includes a walking light, and even with the light this bright, the burn life on it is rated at 5 to 6 hours on the highest setting. There's no chance of missing a dog with a light like this one, folks. All their lights come with a 2-year warranty and a lifetime labor warranty, and these guys are excited to get into our sport, ladies and gentlemen. So y'all be sure, if you see me at a hunt, come ask me about them. I'll have one of each of these lights on hand to show you and let you put it on your head and kind of experience it. Show these guys some love, guys. And y'all please go visit their website at CajunLights.com, and their phone number is 888-773-3080. Thank you, Cajun Lights, for all you do and for trying to get into this sport. Like I said, guys, let's show them some love. Let's get back to the show, guys. Here we go.
She says I said it all. We don't like to emphasize the differences. We like to emphasize the similarities.
You said, I think we kind of touched on it a little bit before, but, when you said that it almost gives that perspective of the, quote unquote, rich man's sport. And that's, from the outside, from somebody that doesn't do it or has never have done it, like that's legit. Like what I thought, like I was like, man, you got to be freaking loaded to do this shit,
Well, the other thing is that, fox hunting, mounted fox hunting has this rule book that is thicker than the Bible. It's all unwritten though, by the way. All these unwritten rules about the etiquette and it's a very traditional sport. And, I'm not against the tradition. As you can see, we I use the horn. We wear the clothing. And,
right. That's what I was going to ask. Is that why the attire is the way it is?
There's definitely some practicality to it. Mm-hmm. Like, we hunt when it's cold out. Those heavy jackets are nice.
Yeah.
When it's 25. I mean, a lot of it's practicality. Wearing riding clothes. Most riding clothes are pretty practical.
Gotcha.
There's wearing the boots are practical. Riding boots. I mean, I'm sitting here in shorts actually, but normally I don't have any hair on the back of my legs because of riding.
Yeah.
Because it shapes your. So like the helmets. That's not for looks.
Yeah,
if you fall off, you need a noggin protector.
Right.
And then like people often say, can I hunt with Western riding gear? Mm-hmm. And like we use English riding gear just because when you can imagine what happens when you jump something and the saddle horn is right there in the middle.
Oh yeah.
And your man goes there. Yeah. So I mean, it's like a. Yeah, but I would say that's the starkest difference.
Gotcha.
Is some of it being maintained for just the sake of tradition? Yeah.
Right.
But a lot of it has some practical application.
Well, and I can respect the tradition side, and and I've mentioned it before on one of my episodes. I hate going to some of these bench shows, like in our side of the world, and you see people going there, and it's most everybody does it now, and there's nothing necessarily wrong with it, but. I like the old pictures where when they went to the bench show, everybody was in a collared shirt or a tie or at least a nice button up and stuff like that. Now everybody's in blue jeans and a t-shirt. Like, I don't know. It's just some of the heritage behind it. I'm like, man, we should respect these guys and how they used to do it. And, it's a little bit of a pain in the ass to have to, change clothes for a bench show that a lot of people don't really even give a crap about it anymore. But I don't know. It's really cool to see the heritage.
But it goes to a sense of pride. I think that's what you're saying.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And I think pride in general in what we do, and even as Americans, is continuing to be diminished. Everybody says, America is the most horrible country in the world. But I think it's the best country in the world. I'm proud of what I do.
Daggone right.
And Suji, I think, was going to jump in there.
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, I mean, first impressions are everything. Mm-hmm. And, at the end of the day, if we're going on to a landowner's property or if we see somebody else out hunting mm-hmm. and we're properly turned out and our horses look good, we're just going to have a little bit more respect from people.
That's true. It's very true.
If you're just kind of in, if you're in sort of raggedy tag clothes and, your horse kind of looks like it was just pulled out from the back 40 kind of thing. I just feel like, all the stuff that you ask your horse to do, you can go and simply give it a bath. I mean, it really just takes 10 minutes of your time, to do that.
Yeah, and there's this dynamic, these landowners that, become supporters of ours or friendly with us and allow us on the land. I mean, we have one landowner here that he is sort of a mentor of mine, actually. I've known him for my entire adult life, and he's been so kind as to allow us on his land to hunt, put jumps in, and come there regularly. And mm-hmm. he's a very humble person. I mean, I would say at this point in life, he's pretty wealthy. He's worked hard his whole life. He owned a farm tractor dealership, and is a farmer type, and is just. But anyway, he allows us on his land, and there's a sense of when he sees it happening on his land and it's all under control and people are turned out and and everybody dresses I won't tell you his name, but everybody says oh hello, good morning, mister, and his last name, and he sees all this, it's like it's a good thing for him.
Right.
And so there is some utility in it, and not everybody sees it just as, a bunch of posturing and people riding around in crazy get-ups.
Right.
Plus, believe me, so I have to wear the red jacket, which we actually call scarlet. Okay. But the good thing about it is nobody shoots at you because it's bright enough that they don't think you're a deer.
True.
But the bad thing is like, if anything goes wrong, they're like, well, look for the guy in the red jacket.
Yep.
You're like, yeah.
You've definitely taken a symbolic role there, that's for sure.
Yeah.
That's funny. So I want to go back on some of the things you said in just a minute ago, but let's touch real quick. What are some of the similarities that you see between y'all's form of dog, fox hunting and other forms of dog hunting?
I would say that pretty much just like of course it's like the hound management aspect. I mean, that's all the same across the board, no matter how many dogs you have in the kennel. You're still going to have to take the time to, do your general poop scooping, feeding.
We should do an episode just on deworming.
It's like a science experiment, every time we do it.
You should see our vet fridge. You should see our vet fridge, man. I'll send you a picture of it.
I bet. Mine's ridiculous too, and I couldn't imagine what y'all's is.
Yeah, so I feel like, that there's similarities in that aspect. And then I think that, as Job was saying sort of earlier, is that, depending on what type of fixture or what type of territory you're going to be hunting in, people have like their certain strike hounds. Maybe they have some puppies that they're going to bring. But I think that there are similarities in how we all choose who's going to go out hunting.
Right.
I mean, I think, the retired ones, maybe one or two of them are going to go out to some place where that there's not going to be too much running around.
Right.
Or if there is a place where you're going to be running around a bunch, you're going to take the ones that are going to kind of bust around a little bit more.
Right.
They can
and it makes a lot of sense.
Powers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would say the most obvious similarity, though, is I like to say everybody in this business, if you want to call it a business, it's usually spending money, but your middle name is Garmin. Like even these highfalutin guys that swore they would never even put a collar on their dog, which now in the state of Virginia you have to do, whether you want to or not. But slowly giving in on the Garmin. Maybe it's in the car, not on the horse. But it's funny. I can say Tread XL or Alpha 200, and everybody is immediately knowing what I'm talking about, including you,
Yep.
So the electronics, I mean, it's just, the two-way radios, we're using GMRS radios.
Right.
So we got like 50 watts in the trucks and the cars, and then I think we're limited to 8 watt on the handhelds.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. So, I mean, but we're, we got radios on the horses. I mean, all that stuff is, even for the training, I mean, so critical. It's nice. It's nice to be able to hey, that was really horrible, and I'd be able to give a momentary or continuous, and then follow it up with a tone,
right?
And then know that you can just later on reinforce it. And,
that's right.
Reinforce that with the tone. It just makes everybody's experience. The people that are there, they don't. The hound has a better experience.
Right.
Right. I mean, you can get to a hound, that, we've had hounds that swum across the river and couldn't get back on the other side.
Right.
The only way we were able to get to them was with the collar,
Yeah.
And you hear stories from these old school fox hunters. Oh yeah, I had a hound out for 3 months. It's like, good gracious! I mean, I can't sleep if I leave a hound out overnight.
That's right.
It's like,
That's right.
There's definitely that, and then I just, I think the similarities. If you're truly a hunter, like we're true hunters. We're not just riding around, in weird getup on horses. We're true hunters. I mean, you just share this kinship with people.
That's it.
That includes being outdoors, and. I would say that generally, and I definitely felt this way at Lobby Day.
Right.
Generally, you feel a connecting thread.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
Wherever you're from, whatever your accent is, whatever you do professionally, whatever kind of hound you run, whatever kind of hunting you do, there is definitely a connecting thread there.
Yes.
And I think that connecting thread, in my opinion, James, feel free to tell me I'm wrong.
I'm with you.
I feel like that connecting thread is sort of a sense of, conservative lifestyle, certain values, family, the freedom to be able to do what we would like to do unhampered,
Right.
But respect for your fellow man.
And I think we kind of, and I'll touch on that, and I think we kind of touched on it a little bit earlier too. It seems like most of your hounds, especially the ones that are out there fighting for it, that you see at lobby day, that you see, being out there in public and doing the things and trying to make it safe and do it better. And it's got to be the heritage. Y'all kind of touched on it with the heritage coming from George Washington and these guys from overseas and how that kind of stuff, like, y'all respect that stuff. And like you said, the unwritten rules, like, I mean, in all reality, nobody would know any difference if y'all just wore a regular old jacket out there. And, of course, you have your riding gear for riding purposes, but nobody would know the difference. But y'all do a lot of that stuff out of the respect of the heritage, and that's a lot of the reason that a lot of people do it with the hound hunting, is that's because that is their heritage. And while that doesn't, fend well for us in government issues, but I think that it sounds like between the two styles, that's one thing that we carry a lot of weight on our shoulders. I want to take a second and talk about Frontline Optics real quick, guys. They are a sunglasses company that is owned and operated by frontline workers, fires and emergency services, guys. They have designed glasses with us in mind, with the frontline workers in mind, people that are out there using your sunglasses every day and don't want to break the bank and have a pair of sunglasses get broke and have to and just be out of that that crazy amount of money. Guys, these are high quality polarized sunglasses that are durable, affordable, and ultimately represent our lifestyle. In addition to that, a portion of all proceeds from the sale of these glasses is donated to First Responders Children's Foundation. It is in support of those children who have lost a parent in the line of duty. How cool is that, guys? So, guys, check these guys out, frontlineoptics.com. Go to their website, and when you go to check out, be sure to type in the promo code HoundsTales. That's TALES. While you check out, and you'll receive 15% off your first purchase. Also, these guys have a first-time replacement, no questions asked program. Be sure to check that out, guys. These guys are awesome. I can't thank them enough for jumping on board. And we'll get back to the show.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think anybody on this that will listen to this get offended. It's just that the far left has gone so far left they've lost their mind.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like the basic things that you and I would never think. And we can get into this a little bit, but I tell people about this and they think I'm making it up. So some of these wildly left states, well, several of them are trying to outlaw any sort of chase hunting at all, or any hunting.
Right. Colorado's going through the ringer right now.
Yeah. Oregon is one of them. Washington State, Colorado. Was it Maine? But there's been a string of bills introduced in Oregon.
Right.
And as you know, especially Portland is a really far left.
Yes.
City, which now has no police and a lot of homeless people and a lot of crime.
Of course.
But whatever,
Right.
Great,
Sounds
good for them. But they're introducing a string of bills, and including hunting bills, anti-hunting bills, and then animal welfare bills.
Right.
And one of these animal welfare bills would make it illegal to artificially inseminate your farm animal. It would be criminal rape.
Jesus Christ. Good Lord.
It's like I don't even know what to say. You know? But I think it's that common thread of like core values. That's what it is. Core values.
Right.
I
agree with that. So before we get into some of the more, a little bit on the legislative side of things and that kind of stuff, we kind of had wrote down, some of the tools and the terms and that y'all use, and I you mentioned it earlier. I had a question about the whips. What's the idea behind the whips?
Yeah. So, the first thing is it's actually a combination between a riding crop, which is used to move your horse along or for other practical things, and then it has a lash on it, which is what makes it a whip.
Okay.
There are practical things. Keep a hound from getting underneath a horse. If the pack needs to be reprimanded, and I don't want to use a pistol or my Garmin, I can actually crack the whip. I can crack the whip.
Gotcha.
And so, that's without physically touching the hound.
Right.
That, puts the pack in check.
And then on the one end of the whip, there's a bone.
Okay.
And I guess traditionally people have used it to open and close gates or pick up something off the ground that you've dropped. So it normally has like a little hook on.
I've actually used a whip as a halter.
Yeah, I mean, there's like things that, yeah. So actually, even our hunting stuff, actually, as Job was saying before, has had use in the past. Like, for example, when we're out hunting, we typically wear a stock tie.
Okay.
But people previously used to use that as an emergency, either arm sling or a leg wrap or a tourniquet. I mean, that's the reason why it's a stock tie.
I've seen it used as a tourniquet, actually.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I've actually seen it. Yeah.
I never would have thought of that.
If you imagine you're, 6 miles away from the trailer and you don't have anything else, what are you going to do?
You got to do what you got to do.
I mean, there are a ton of wacky terms that we don't even really use. Like, for example, actually most mounted fox hunters count hounds in couples, in twos.
Okay.
Yeah. What?
Right.
Well, there's some story. So we actually have couples. We can couple hounds together. Like if we have a hound that's farting off or doesn't stay with people, we'll couple them. It's like two collars together.
Okay.
And
I'm with you.
Yeah. So I think at some point before they had vehicles and they would ride to the meet, they would couple the hounds together so that they didn't try to hunt on the way to the meet. And somehow this evolved into counting hounds by twos.
Wow.
Which, like, all everybody does is count normally and then divide it by two. So why don't you just count them by normally? I have no idea. And like, for example, the red jacket, which is really a scarlet jacket. Actually, a lot of people call them pinks, but not because of the color. Not because of the color pink.
Right.
It's because one of the tailors that tailored the coats had the last name of Pink, but it was Pinque.
Interesting.
So it's just like a lot of these things are totally,
Right.
Or like if you're telling someone to be quiet in a hunt field, you say hark.
Hark. Okay. Huh. That's completely different than what we use it for.
Yeah, no, I say shut up. Don't worry. I say shut up. Stop talking. You're ruining my hunting. Be quiet.
And Suji takes about 10 steps backwards. Give him the space.
No. She knows the deal. She's on my side.
Right,
so I mean, there are definitely a lot of terms that we could touch on. I mean, some of them are, make sense, and some of them you're just, why?
So the main purpose behind the whip, then, I guess it would be kind of like the horn. Like there's different commands. It's more of a command. Like, all right, the whip is the getting checks.
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay.
And then, the horn is obviously the sort of most visible part of it because you can hear it, and then the huntsman's blowing it. But, there's practical in that the staff members can hear the different horn calls.
Okay.
And they'll know if I'm casting hounds or I think there's a fox. I'll do this it's a very rapid staccato.
Okay.
Like we call it doubling the horn.
Right.
And I would blow the horn, but it would blow your ears off because it's so loud.
Right.
And there's when I'm urging hounds on or they found the line, there's a different call. And once hounds have found their line and they're on their fox, I could do whatever on the horn and they don't care. They're ignoring me at that point.
Right.
They can't even hear that. They can't even hear that.
Not over that
and
roar.
Then, no. I would say that the most sort of practical use of the horn, in my opinion, is to call hounds back so they know where you are.
Gotcha.
I mean, I don't know. You tell me, but my hounds will actually reverse their track and track themselves backwards.
Some of my deer hounds will do that. Yes.
Yeah, my hounds will just reverse and hunt, not hunt themselves, but will follow their own track back. But it's great to have that sort of audible, confirmation that I'm there.
Right.
They want to know that I'm there.
Yeah.
And even if I think they're dropping off or I don't know what you call it when they're hunting a track backwards. We call it hunting heel.
Back track, that's what we call it.
Yeah, we call it heel. I don't know why we call it heel. That's what everybody calls it. I'm like, what does my heel have to do with any of this? But anyway, if they're hunting heel or, whatever, they think maybe they're losing the line, but I think I know where the quarry is gone. I have some calls that will encourage them and, even maybe trick them into moving on and staying on it. So,
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Awesome. So why the, I think we kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, but why the horses? Is it the being able to get close and not distract the dogs? Is it
I think with, mounted fox hunters in general, so, a lot of people that ride horses are attracted to it because this is like sort of like the next level and it's highfalutin, that sort of thing. But for us, for what we do, being able to take hounds into cover where I think they're going to find a fox. I mean, it would be almost impossible if I wasn't on a horse.
Gotcha.
I mean, it's super utilitarian to me.
Right.
And as we had mentioned, like, we hunt in a lot of areas where there's quite a bit of livestock yet.
Right.
And I mean, you just really can stop to open and close the gate.
Right.
I mean, so, there are what we call jumps, and that weird thing that you saw in the picture is called a coop.
Yeah.
Because it looks like an old chicken coop.
Yeah, that's right.
And, so, but we have other types of jumps. We have like timber jumps, we use telephone poles for jumps,
Gotcha.
There'll be capped stone walls where there's a piece of wood on top of the stone wall. So if the horse would hit, there's all kinds of different obstacles. And then, the horse too is, some of the areas we get into, are just, they're not accessible by vehicles at all.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Well, I don't know if it makes sense, but we're doing it nonetheless.
Y'all gonna keep on rocking and rolling with it. I like it.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah.
So that's a good, it's a really good touch on explaining what it is, and I really do appreciate that too. And I think doing what y'all are doing, y'all are very active on putting your videos out there and putting your pictures and being expressive and talking about it. And I think coming on here is a big thing, because like you said, it's almost feels sometimes like the mounted force hunting is it's secretive. Like y'all are the only people I know.
It's like a cult.
Like
it's
a cult,
like a cult,
right. right. So I think y'all are bridging that gap, and I think that's very important. I I appreciate y'all doing that. So, on that, we'll lead into, what's some of the reasons that you think dog hunters as a whole need to try to stick together and do more together and interact with each other?
Really at the end of the day, James, is that anybody that hunts with or utilizes dogs as a partner for something, a working dog, we're all in the same boat. They're coming for us all.
Right.
It's the same with people that ride horses. It doesn't matter whether you're, into horse racing or you're into horse jumping or you're into trail riding. We're all in the same boat at the end of the day.
Right.
And you were just saying that, we need to stick together. And Job was saying this earlier where fox hunters are sort of sticking their heads in the sand and sort of not addressing some of these issues that, it's not even that these issues have just come about. They've always been there. And I think that if you are truly somebody who cares about the sport, then you will do more than just participate in the sport. You have got to be politically active, and you have got to, raise your voice. And, as Job said, I made him go to lobby day because
right.
I felt like that was so important because, and I'm going to say this out loud is, I was probably one of the younger people there, and I think it's really important. I'm not some, woke 30-something-year-old kid, born in the 90s, and,
right.
I'm proud to say that, I'm not like that.
Right.
And, I think it's, definitely one of the certainly one of the reasons why we had started was was we know that the world is changing and we have to make dog hunting relevant to today's world.
Yeah.
That's really what it is. And that's the reason why we have to stick together.
I like that. Are you a proud hound owner? Do you cherish those memorable hunting moments with your loyal companions? Well, Roxy Designs has something special just for you. Roxy Designs is revolutionizing their product line, offering unique treasures for the hound world. Whether you're celebrating a successful hunt or want to showcase your kennel's excellence, they've got you covered. Picture this: beautiful plaques, custom license plates, sleek tumblers, and stunning banners, all tailored to your liking. And yes, they can even personalize them just for your kennel. Did you win a hunt or feel your hound deserves more recognition? Roxy Designs can create a commemorative plaque that will make your achievements truly shine. Ready to discover endless possibilities? Visit Roxy Designs on Facebook. I like that. You know,
well, I got.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say I got simpler reasons. If when there's more of us, it's better. No, I mean I think Kirby eventually said there were 750 of us at Lobby Day.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah, that's the number he gave. You know, I thought that might have been a little high, but still, I mean,
I don't care. Let him spew his lies, man. I'm believing him.
Right.
I'm believing him. You know.
Right.
I mean, I was amazed that they said that the Virginia Hunting Dog Alliance has 95,000 members.
Yep.
That
right.
is good.
Yep.
I mean,
right.
that is good. And I mean, listen, I am. You know, I try to be optimistic about these things, but being in business for the last 25 years of life has taught me more to be like a pessimist and believe that people will do their worst, you know, kind of thing.
Right.
But, you know, seeing the actual, they put out these posts, don't be the silent person, and it's like voting. I don't need to vote. That other person will vote. I'm telling you, man, this time it made a difference. It actually made a difference. If you have not, right. Well, we can talk about the legislative stuff, but I'll tell you the moment that in my mind, I knew everything that we did made a difference. Okay, so we went to Lobby Day, being there at Lobby Day, and then after Lobby Day, we had these two different. There was a Senate bill, and then there was a finance committee thing that was going to perhaps make this or allow this permit thing to go into place.
Right.
And then SB 712, which was that trespass law that Marsden was trying to get through.
Right.
Yeah. I actually watched, and I encourage anybody that is a dog hunter to watch I watched it live, but you can go back to the vote and watch it. You just Google Virginia Senate live stream, and you could see all the legislative sessions and the committee sessions.
Right.
I watched this, and Marsden gives his speech, which I had to go take a shower afterwards because I felt so slimy after his speech. It was lies and subversion.
Yeah.
And when they voted, it was 2020.
Right.
It was a tie, and literally all you heard was. It was like the air got sucked out of the room.
No kidding.
And everybody, I'm sitting on the edge of my seat in my office. Literally, I had like my butt was barely on the chair.
Right.
And I mean, this could really change hunting for a lot of people.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And we've theorized where our governor, which I voted for Governor Youngkin. He has a lot of conservative values. He's a Republican. I think a lot of us probably did vote for him.
Right.
And Winston Sears, the lieutenant governor, is automatically the president of the Senate in Virginia. That's how it works.
Right.
And I tell you, she did not miss one beat. We've all theorized where Governor Youngkin was on these issues because we weren't sure he was on our side.
Right.
And she did not miss a beat, though. She said it's a tie. I vote no. It fails, and gavelled it. And I was like, oh, my God, I want to kiss that woman. I want to kiss that woman. So, I mean...
We need to vote her in for governor, period.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess what I was getting to is, I mean, everything that we did, all the emails, the phone calls being there, it actually did make a difference.
Right.
And if any one of us may have might have not made those phone calls or not sent those emails, but you never get a response to.
Yep.
But at least you're sending them.
Right.
You could, if that one less person could have been the tipping point, because our legislature right now has a Democratic majority, and these people tend to vote, with against these things, against the things we want. But it moved the needle.
Yeah.
It moved the needle.
Yep.
And I mean, whatever you want to call that similarity, I don't care. You can make it into whatever made that happen. We need to continue to do that.
Right.
Without a doubt.
Right.
Without a doubt.
And I agree 110%. It's I was talking to people last weekend at a fox hunt, and I was like, I swear, like you just said, all of us being there that day, that was it. There's no way that anybody could ever, unless somebody's in there and can correct us. But I'm with you 110%. I think the however many people it was showing up in orange hats made the difference. I think that really kind of opened their eyes, like, holy crap, look how many people are freaking here. Like, that's what we're fighting against. Like, and that's not even the tipping point of actually how many people are in the state and do it. And so, but no, I agree, 110% with you. I think you're 100% right. So, what are, I kind of added this one in. I'm going to add this one in, as far as sticking together, what are some opinions of y'all's that we can do, or what kind of things can we do to stick together more than what we're doing now? And I think we're taking a really good turn in the right direction. I just, and I said this in another podcast, I think this is the most banded together I've seen houndsmen in a long time. But what else do you think, in y'all's opinion, that we can do to kind of help keep bridging that gap?
Yeah, I would absolutely agree that this is, it's sort of like that necessity throws you into the, arms of your brother kind of thing. Like,
right.
It's like when there's these horrible times and you think something's going to be taken away from you, you find some common ground. But I think the ridiculousness is that we have lots of common ground already. I think that the Virginia Hunting Dog Alliance has done a great job.
Right.
But let's be honest, I like Kirby, but he's one dude.
Yep.
And he's old, by the way. He's old. I like him, but he's old.
Yeah,
he's
well,
old.
I just started, I got it, I'm not sure, I don't know how to word that without sounding biggity, but I ended up getting the Appomattox, where my county, I got that chapter started here literally like 2 weekends ago. We finally got one started up, and he actually came down in person and got it official and did all that. And I was talking to him, and he flat out was like, look, I've got maybe 3 more years of this. And he said, I can't do it no more. Yeah. He's like, I'm getting to that age. He's like, we got to have people step up and take these roles.
Yeah, the other thing is like we actually have talked about starting one here, but again, the mountain fox hunters just stick their heads in the sand. But right. We'll probably get to it eventually. We're not. We'd like to do it.
Yeah.
I think that unfortunately the hunting community, especially hunting with dogs, is a little fractured. Like the Bear Hunters Association is a pretty big,
right,
thing, and they're involved in the Virginia Hunting Dog Alliance, and
right.
I think we probably got to raise some money, to be honest with you. Like, so we are fairly charitable, I would say.
Yes.
We definitely donate to organizations that we think are proponents of our values.
Right.
And those tend to be faith-based organizations, to be honest with you.
Yep.
And we also do donate to political action committees that are addressing the political issues that we see, and a lot of that is just the freedom to do what we want to do, land use issues,
right,
that sort of thing, education issues with the school systems, all that kind of stuff, which is, we all have talked about in the recent years.
Right.
And, we really need to get someone down in Richmond as a lobbyist, in my opinion.
Yep.
Like the mounted fox hunters actually have somebody, and you'd be surprised social media and sort of the internet and has helped us in some ways. Well, first of all, I think internet is the work of the devil. That's the first thing. But we got to use it. We got to
Right.
use it. We're stuck with Facebook and stuff.
Right.
So you got to use it to your advantage. But
Exactly.
in some ways it has helped us because, you know, we know what the issues are. But, you know, the reality is Richmond is still a good old boy system.
Right.
That was one thing that definitely I learned from Lobby Day. I've been to Richmond before. I was never in that building, but I mean, politics is the same the world over. I mean,
Right.
yes, some of the politicians may agree more with our sort of thinking, you and I, and some maybe in the middle and some maybe on the far left, and I think those should be taken out back in front of the river, but
Right.
that's not the way it's going to work. But
Right.
but I mean, I think that is huge, and if we care about staying here in Virginia and doing what we love, we're gonna need to get in front of these issues. Someone like a Marsden, they need to be gone. They
Yep.
need to be gone.
Yep.
You need to find a way to get rid of them.
Right.
I mean, the guy has no connection to agriculture. He has no connection to hunting.
Right.
He lives in Fairfax County where you can't even discharge a firearm.
Right.
You know, why is he spearheading, you know, initiatives that he has no
relation to?
Yep. No relations to whatsoever.
Right.
You know, I mean, we need to do something about it.
Yep.
I mean,
Yep.
and you know, maybe that starts here, but yeah, I mean,
And I think you made a good point on the
it-
Facebook thing too in social media. You know, when I was getting ready to fire the podcast back up, you know, I seen a lot of people talking. You know, I kind of put a feeler question and talking about YouTube videos and stuff like that. And I was like, put a feeler question. And I was like, you know, what is opinions? And I couldn't believe how many people were just not scared, but so timid on information of the dog hunter being put out there. I'm like, you know, guys, and that's why I started this thing. It was like, if we don't start using the tools that we have to shine a positive light instead of letting the dummies out there and being nice and using a nice word. But if we don't start shining the positive light and stop letting the dummies that are going to put anything bad out there that's going to ruin us, if we don't outshine them, then we're not doing anything to save our sport. And that's
I mean, absolutely. It's like you can't go halfway. You got to go. You got to
Right.
go the full way because halfway doesn't move the needle.
Yep.
Doing nothing doesn't do anything.
Right.
You know, and I 100% agree. And this has been also a problem with the DWR, with the Department of Wildlife Resources. I mean, Suji's has been going to the meetings virtually.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've gone to any meetings.
Yes,
or
I
watched them.
spoke at the last two.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Yes.
You are lucky that I was not in that meeting because I would not have been. I would not have been as nice as the rest of you. In many years ago, I went to law school,
right,
and I did not put up with people's crap. And you know, the fact that the chairperson of the DWR would have that like sense of personal animus,
right,
like he was coming for us,
right,
has no place. He's a public servant. He works for us. In fact, hunting licenses pay for a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
You work for us, buddy.
Right.
I mean, there's this sense of like, well, he's a public servant. We don't want to piss him off. He can only do what the law allows him to do.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm with you on that. And they're coming for us, so we're going to need to come for them.
Yeah.
That's the reality of it.
Yeah.
That's the reality of it.
It's only a kick. A jump. A block. It's only a serve. It's only a tackle. A run. It's only for the fans. After all, it's only pressure. You got this. Adidas.
Yeah.
I got you. I'm with you. So, you know, that's a good segue right there. You know, the last, you know, the kind of one of the last thing that we had wrote down was, you know, the legislative landscape regulations. You know, in y'all's opinion, you know, where are we at with it, and what do you think we need to be looking out for coming down the pipe?
Well, I mean, I would like to think that, you know, when I watched that SB 712, the trespass on the right-of-way, which got manipulated into something that wasn't the way it originally started out.
Correct.
When Marsden lost that, I watched him leave. He left the chamber and didn't vote on anything the rest of the day. So I like to think that he was somewhat deflated. And then, of course, with the finance, the appropriations portion, not allowing for the permit system, which would have been a disaster in my opinion.
That would have been horrible. Yes.
That would have been horrible. I feel like we can't rest on our laurels.
Yeah.
I mean, we are going to have to find a way. Firstly, in my opinion, to get to the governor.
Yeah.
Suji's trying to get to the governor's wife. She's working on it. We're working some common friends and things. And I mean, we need to get the governor on our side is the first thing, because if SB 712 had passed, he could have vetoed it.
Right.
And they would have had to vote with a supermajority, which they would have never gotten.
Right.
But so I mean, the first thing is we need to see where the governor is on these issues, and if he's not, he doesn't understand the issues, we need to try to educate him on the issues.
Right.
I feel like what I know of him is that he is a cogent thinker.
Yep.
He would listen to these concerns. I feel like we have a special end because his wife is actually into horses. So we're working all angles. So I think that's the first thing. And I do think that the DWR will continue to try and put regulations in place.
Right.
And this is why I said it is super important that I know that the Virginia Hunting Dog Alliance, it doesn't cost anything to join.
Yep.
That's all great. I do not see how the Shrimp Fest raises enough money to do anything. I'm sorry, I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
And people like us, I'm not going to tell you a number of what we donate charitably, but it isn't $1,000. It's a lot. It's
right.
Quite a bit of money. And I would certainly give money to something that would defend and keep in place, something that's
right.
extremely important to me, if not sort of like one of the major components of my life.
Right.
And, when the DWR and even the legislature, if they do pass laws, that we need to be prepared to take those things to court, like the right to retrieve what happened in the past.
Right.
We need to be prepared to do that, and that costs a lot of money. It does not cost It does not cost $5. So,
right.
But if you have 95,000 members and every member gives $100, do the math.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if every member only gets 50, even if they only get 10.
Right.
Do the math.
Yeah, and imagine if we could get every dog hunter in the state to be a part of the Dog Hunt Alliance and donate that kind of, make some kind of donation.
Well, I think it's probably, I saw somewhere on Facebook
I think
or something.
It's 180,000 if I'm not mistaken. I may be wrong on that.
Yeah, but I saw in, I don't know if it was in Louisa County or something, that somebody put an advertisement on a billboard saying that they supported, I don't know where it was, but I was thinking to myself, the Virginia Hunting Dog Alliance has its presence on Facebook and that, but I only know about, we stumbled on it. Well, you told me about it.
Yeah.
I had no idea. And I feel like if we were a little bit more visible,
right.
That we, and we did a little bit more, like sponsored a field trial or something. Right. I don't know. I don't know anything.
Yeah.
Other than just the Shrimp Fest.
Well, there are several. I think there's a couple other things that they do that go a long way, and then of course that's where the chapters. That's what's so important about the chapters too. The chapters have chances to do. It may not make thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, but if these chapters will all band together and actually hold a fundraiser. Just think about how many counties across Virginia, if one county can raise, $3,000 or $4,000 and do that all across the state, then, there you go. That there's that much more money going towards it to help with legislators and that kind of stuff and help defend our heritage. Yeah.
Hey, but don't get me wrong. I think that the Virginia Hunting Dog Alliance has done great stuff. It's amazing. They saved the bacon on these last two things, without a doubt.
Yes, 100%.
Without a doubt. But to really be effective, it's kind of, I think it needs to move in sort of to the next steps.
Yep.
And that's probably not going to be a couple volunteers,
right.
If you have that many members, and we're,
yep.
And so I guess to top it all off, we can't rest on our laurels, so to speak here. These things are not going away.
Right.
The political landscape is such that, we have such a chasm in between the far left, and then there's a silent sort of middle,
yeah.
And that kind of really would like to be with the conservatives and just be left alone, and
right.
Mostly. But these differences continue to be highlighted in our nation,
mm-hmm.
And Democrats. I remember, I was born in the 70s. I know this dates me, but I remember Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan was a Democrat, and then he became a Republican. But as a kid, no one knew like the difference between a Democrat and a Republican. They're like, I don't know,
right.
it's Ronald Reagan.
Right.
We
exactly.
have such a stark differential now, and unfortunately, the landscape here is Northern Virginia, with the amount of the population,
yep.
Tends to be a more urban population. And then Richmond and say Hamptons Roads,
right.
area has become more of like a urban.
Yep.
And that's really a small area when you think geographically about Virginia. But unfortunately, right. that's where your population centers are.
Yep.
And they tend to lean in those directions.
There's two
although
quotes.
I don't know why.
There's two quotes that made me think of. The first one was, I forgot what president. I think it was an early president, like Jefferson or something like that. It said when the party system is created and you're making I forgot what the exact quote was, but pretty much what he was saying was that when you create the party system, instead of electing a person to vote, and lead your country, when you're electing a party, that's when it's going to be a divide. And I mean, look what happened. He called it that long ago.
And look, RFK doesn't have a shot because he's running as an independent,
right.
But he seems to make a lot more sense than most people.
Exactly. Exactly.
But, yeah.
And I'm brain farted on the other one, what I was trying to say, but I mean, you made a lot. I think you made a lot of good points there, and I really do hope that we can keep making these steps, and this is the closest I've ever seen it. I'm only 30. I'll be 31 here in a couple weeks, but this is the closest I've ever seen it in our state to losing. And if we don't make this push, and like we mentioned earlier, keep banding together and doing whatever we got to do, then we're going to lose it. It's going to be a lost cause. So, but. Well, I think that pretty much gets close to wrapping it up. Where can everybody find y'all's YouTube video, your Facebook, and follow y'all's dog hunting stuff on social medias?
Yeah, absolutely. We got a couple different accounts. Facebook, it's Whitehall Hounds. We're on Instagram as well. It's Whitehall Middleburg and Whitehall Hounds. We have two.
Gotcha.
YouTube is Whitehall Middleburg, is it not? Yeah. Just go on YouTube and put Whitehall fox hunting. It'll come up.
Gotcha.
It'll come up. So it's been I haven't made any great YouTube videos recently. So if you watch the YouTube videos, it's actually Suji as a helmet cam.
So, yeah. I've seen in the pictures you were wearing one.
Yeah, she's got a helmet cam. So if there's some weird narration going on, you just gotta ignore it. But no, so you kind of get to see a lot of it from her perspective. So I haven't made too many videos recently, and it's mostly just because the pack's been going so great, just kind of slipped away from that. But yeah,
it's hard.
Yeah, and then if you just Google Whitehall Farm or Whitehall Hounds, you can get to our website. As I said, we like sharing this with people. We're willing to travel to the extent that it makes sense,
Right.
We even do a little pen hunting.
Okay.
And James, I'm going to use your podcast to advertise for something.
Go for it.
We're not selling anything.
Yeah, go for it.
I'll tell you, it has been so gosh dang hard to get in a pen we had a couple of pens that we used, and that it would even let us bring horses, actually, a couple of them. But even like just getting in a pen, normally they would let us run during the day. We don't really want to run at night. We prefer to run during the day. The one fellow passed away, unfortunately. And then, we got in touch with the pen down your way in Appomattox.
Yeah.
And they gave us a date in June. And I said, yeah, we'll take that date. It was June 2025. And actually, last year I actually spoke to Kirby about it. I said, man, I'm having a problem. My one pen guy died, and we like to take a puppy, a couple puppies down to the pen, whatever, get them started. Or we'd like to go in the summer and have a good old time, when we're not really actively hunting. But I would love to find a pen that would be open to have,
that accommodate. That'd be pretty cool. That'd be pretty cool. Now, if we could just get these freaking legislators to let us build pens again in Virginia, then you'd probably be set.
Marsden was, when I was in with him privately, he said, I was the one that did the pens. I said, I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, I know.
Hence the hat that said end all fox hunting on your table.
Yeah. Well, he told us he wasn't coming after us,
right?
Or fox hunting, or the right to retrieve.
Yeah,
and Suji pointed out, hey, did you see that hat on his bookshelf? I said, no, I was too busy thinking of legal, sort of legal arguments to present to the guys. So,
right. Well, I definitely appreciate y'all coming on. It's been, I think you answered a lot of questions that I had and brought a lot of good stuff to the table. And like I said, I really do appreciate y'all coming on, and y'all keep up the hustle on what y'all are doing and putting a good name out there for the houndsmen. So I can't thank y'all enough.
Yep. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Absolutely. So everybody out there listening, I hope y'all enjoyed it. And like always, guys, happy hunting.